I only will hope my results are better.
Definitely.
So again, Mr. Chairman, in group, we're here this evening. This is a virtual meeting. We'll be taking public comment in one of four ways. Comment can be dropped off in the blue box just outside the entrance to the main building by the library entrance. I have checked that. There was no public comment in the box as of 15 minutes ago. But you may raise your hand during the Zoom call and you will be recognized at the appropriate time. You may also use your phone. There's an option for, if you've called in, there's an option on the phone of how to raise your hand. You can do that as well. If by chance, either you're raising your hand or through the phone option, you're having trouble, or you just want to make public comment this way, you can send public comment to public comment, all one word, at newtowntownship.org. Again, that's public comment at newtowntownship.org. And again, it's all one word. So those are the instructions for how to make public comment. I will be monitoring the email public comment at newtowntownship.org throughout the meeting. And I will also be monitoring to see if anyone raises their hand. Mr. Chairman, I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Neese. I'd like to call the December 7, 2020 Municipal Authority meeting to order. Roll call. Mark Kay.
You're on mute, Mark.
Here.
You are.
John Weaver.
Present.
Thank you. Maria Kane.
Here.
Tom Smith.
Here.
Operations Manager, Mr. Stephen Neese.
Here.
Counsel, J. Michael Sheridan.
Here.
Engineer, Mr. David Porter.
Here.
Thank you. In lieu of a pledge of allegiance, take a moment of silence today, remembering those who died on December the 7th, 1941 in Pearl Harbor. Thank you. Everyone's had an opportunity to take a look at the agenda for this evening's meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda for this evening's meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Everyone's had an opportunity to take a look at the minutes for this evening's from the November 16th, 2020 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes of November 16th.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. No announcements. Public comment. Do we have any public comment, Mr. Neese?
Having just checked the email box and looking for raised hands, I see none.
Okay. Okay. Treasury report. Everyone's had an opportunity to take a look at the treasurer's report as submitted. Do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Motion to approve the treasurer's report as submitted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Payments. We have a fair amount of those this evening. I will read them down. 10.1, I make a motion, we approve the bills on check register A dated December 7th, 2020, totaling $425,740.25. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. 10.2, I make a motion that we approve release number 11 for JOAO and Bradley for the work associated with the Camelot service area totaling $2,462,556.36, leaving a balance of $1,838,070.49. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Do I have any questions or comments on this motion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you. 10.3, consider approving release number 13 for JOAO and Bradley for work associated with the Ashford service area totaling $666,487.49, leaving a balance of $829,996.76. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. 10.4.
Scroll down, please.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay. 10.4, make a motion that we approve release number 5 for Ford Brothers Electrical Company, Inc., for the electrical work associated with the Camelot service area, totaling $78,750, leaving a balance of $288,615. Do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah,
All those in
Dave,
favor? Go ahead.
question. Dave, is this, so we clear now on the electrical there? On Camelot?
For for Camelot and Old Masters, this represents the next two payments represent electrical contractors, rough in, and pretty much all of the interior building work. So there still is a portion that's remaining, as you see, that's related to extending the public electric utility from the current transformer to the pump station location. Same thing for the Old Masters pump station, where the contractor basically has to run lines from Westchester Pike down to service the pump station.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. 10.5, I make a motion we can approve release number 6 for Ford Brothers Electric Company, Inc., for the electrical work associated with the Camelot service area totaling $49,450.50, leaving a balance of $239,164.50. Do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. 10.6, I make a motion that we approve the payment from the bonds totaling $770 to Michael Sheridan Professional Services associated with the 537 Public Sewer Project build-out. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 10.7, I make a motion we approve payment from the bonds totaling $8,577.50 to Herbert Montgomery Engineering for Part 2 permit work on the public sewer project relative to the Camelot service area construction. Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. 10.8, I make a motion we approve a payment from the bonds totaling $1,489.37 to Herbert Montgomery Engineering for Part 2 permit work, Act 537 Public Sewer Project relative to the Springton Point service area construction. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
10.9, I make a motion we approve a payment from the bonds totaling $6,644.37 to Herbert Montgomery Engineering Part 2 permit work relative to the Ashford service area construction. Do I have a second?
Second that.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. 10.10, I make a motion we approve a payment from the bonds totaling $3,775 to Earth Care, Inc. for the landscape servicing associated with the 537 Public Sewer Project build-out. Do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
Are there any questions or comments?
Joe, I have a question.
Yeah,
Just-
go ahead.
Just to be sure there's no confusion, at 10.15, the board will be considering a payment from the bond for $15,685 to Hunter's Run Homeowners Association. That was to reimburse them for Earth Care Inc.'s landscaping work with the plantings and the restoration that they undertook in lieu of JOAO doing it. And I just want to be sure somehow there's not some mix-up or confusion.
That's what I was going to ask. You got to it ahead of me.
Okay.
Mr. Porter, can you address that, please?
Yeah, so some time ago, the contractor, this is probably back to the beginning of when we started the project in 2019. We had to replace a section of sewer main through the existing Springton Woods neighborhood. Directly over our existing sanitary sewer easement and line, there were 6, I think, Norway spruce that had to be removed as part of that line replacement. So we got quotes from JOAO and Bradley. We got quotes from, I think it was Caramanico Landscaping. And we got a quote from Earth Care to do the replacement plantings in that location. So this is something that I had brought in front of the authority, gosh, probably 9-12 months ago at this point. And the authority was in favor of allowing this subcontractor to do
The
that.
bottom line is,
work.
this has nothing to do, this has
This
nothing
has
to do with Hunter's Run.
absolutely nothing to do
That's
with
all.
the Hunter's Run.
Okay, that's all I
Nothing
want to know. Okay. Are there any other questions on this motion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. 10.11, make a motion. We approve $3,719.69 payment to Springhouse Homeowners Association for the repair to the landscaping in the cul-de-sac on Springhouse Lane associated with the sewer project. The Springhouse HOA has already paid the invoice. Do I have a second on this motion?
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. 10.12, make a motion that we approve $184.99 refund to Daniel Ski, 702 Fairview Road for a sewer overpayment. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. 10.13, I make a motion that we approve $157.08 refund to DeAndre McAuliffe at 118 Main Street for a sewer overpayment. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. 10.14, make a motion that we approve a $105.92 refund to Thomas Donnell at 140 Beechwood Avenue for sewer overpayment. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. 10.15, make a motion, we consider the payment from the bonds totaling $15,685 to Hunter's Run Homeowners Association for the reimbursement of restoration expenses associated with the 537 sewer project build out. Do I have a second on this motion?
Second.
Any questions or comments?
I just, so has someone gone over those invoices?
That invoice was, for this last one, was a single invoice for the estimated cost of restoration that was determined could be done less expensively by a particular contractor for Hunter's Run rather than JOAO. So it was a single lump sum, and the work's been done. If Dave wants, he can jump in to say it's been done and it's been accepted, and that chapter's closed, I guess.
Yeah, Mike, you pretty much covered it. I mean, I met with Fran Marabella, who's the president of their HOA over there after our last authority meeting to go over some of the issues he had with the grass, the lawn restoration. In my opinion, the upper easement area is well vegetated. Fran pointed out a couple of small areas that are a little more sparse than the rest of the vegetation. I explained to him that's something that can be overseeded easily when JO comes back to restore the lower easement area. I walked the entire site with Fran and did observe that all of the landscape plantings have been installed by Earth Care, and they are completely finished out there. So there will not be any potential for their contractor to track over what JO is going to do. That was the concern that we had as far as releasing obligations back and forth with the association. So, I explained to Fran that JO will be back to complete the lawn restoration in the spring of the year. He understands that. He's fine with that. So with that, I think the authority's in a position that they could reimburse the homeowners association for their landscape activities.
And how's this been papered? Is releases in hand? We're done?
There is I prepared, you recall, Tom, I had to revise the waiver and release form because I thought it included everything. I did not realize the grass replenishment was not included. So that's been sent out, and my understanding it was approved by Mr. Marabella and the HOA for Hunter's Run. So I was going to raise it up under old business that agreement should also be prepared or approved by this board.
Mike, should we have that approved prior to approving this payment?
It makes sense. It probably makes good sense to do that since
Okay, let's, all right, I will withdraw this motion right now and replace it with, I make a motion that we approve the release provision document that was prepared by and amended by our council, submitted to Hunter's Run, essentially releasing the board the authority from any further responsibilities other than the seeding, which is projected to be done in the early spring of 2021. Do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay. Now, I make a motion that we approve the payment from the bonds totaling $15,685 to Hunter's Run Homeowners Association for reimbursement of the restoration expense associated with the 537 project build out. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Any other questions or comments on the motion?
Can we make it contingent on the execution of the agreement?
Certainly. So we'll amend that motion to say that it's contingent upon execution of the agreement and receipt of the executed agreement by our council. How's that?
Works for me.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments?
I'll second that. Yep.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Engineers report.
Okay, thank you. With regard to the sewer project update, as of November 23rd, we've had 25 homes connected. We've had 103 applications submitted. We've approved 88 of those. We're averaging probably a little less than 2 weeks of turnaround time. That's total days, not just business days, to get the reviews approved and get the contractor scheduled and inspecting the lateral connections. With regard to the Ashford service area, the work is out there is just about completed as far as addressing punch list items. You saw the payment for the Ashford service area tonight was release number 13. I would expect probably one additional release. They have ordered the fence for the Goshen pump station. They have that in their yard. They have to install it yet. So they're going to have to at least apply for a release of that. We did reduce their retainage to a 0.25% retainage held, which is more than enough to cover the cost of the fence out there. There were a couple of other items that we disagreed on some of the quantities that they've submitted. So we may have to go back and forth on that a little bit, but for all intents and purposes, we're pretty close to completely closing out that contract. On the Ashford service area side, we did receive a complaint from the homeowners at 336 Crum Creek Lane with regard to noise from a louver fan and the lights on the exterior of the building in the cul-de-sac are too bright. So I explained to the homeowners I would take a look at it. As far as the lights are concerned, when I spoke with them a couple of months ago, I explained that we were installing landscaping at the pump station. Hopefully that would, buffer some of that lighting in the cul-de-sac. But they still raised concern about that. So what I'm going to look at doing is, and this is ultimately an authority decision, look at either turning them off or taking the light bulbs out of the fixtures just to appease the property owner. And that's, of course, an authority decision that has to be made. There are two lights, and they are LED lights. They're down facing, they're cut off, but with the LEDs, if you're not used to that type of light, they can be rather annoying before you get used to them. So there are two facing the cul-de-sac side, one facing the homeowner's side, and there are other ones on the side facing the Goshen Road and the other side of the pump station. So it is completely surrounded with lights for safety purposes and for, I guess, to discourage vandalism at the station. So with regard to the louver noise, I met with KBX Golden, our wastewater operator out there, to actually trigger that fan. And what it is it's a small exhaust fan on the side of the building that controls the interior temperature of the building. Right now it was set to 80 degrees. So during the summertime, it's going to kick on and off repeatedly. And their complaint was in the fall, when they're sleeping with their windows open, they could hear the rattle of the louvers when the fan kicked on and off. So when I was out there with KBX, I listened to it. It does rattle a little bit. If you are trying to sleep at night, it could be annoying. So what I would propose to do is see if KBX or Almeida and Hudak have something that we can dampen those louvers a little bit for the homeowners. The fan itself is pretty quiet. So the noise that's coming is definitely from the vibration of the louvers. On the Camelot contract side, we covered the Hunter's Run landscaping, electric service to the Camelot Lane pump station has finally been scheduled. I talked with Pico. They have scheduled with the electrical contractor a site meeting next Tuesday, the 15th, to go over the scope. We have been asked to stake out the new location of the new transformer, which we will do this week. The gas service application has been received. I forwarded that on to the township staff to get that in the works to get processed. There is a cost that the authority has to pay for that gas service. We've already paid for the Pico service, and that was about $78,000, $79,000. The gas service extension is $4,943.33. And there is an agreement that goes with that service, which I forwarded it to Mike Sheridan to take a look at. I believe Steve has seen the agreement this afternoon and has signed it on behalf of the authority. So either Steve or Joe could sign that document. I did make Pico aware that they do have the wrong official legal name of the authority, and they had the site address on the application instead of the business address, which is the township address. So they are aware that needs to be changed. So with the payment and execution of that service agreement, they will schedule the finalization of the gas design and then schedule the install for us. On the Springton Estates, electrical has been completed out there. We did do a preliminary startup on that station. We have KBX monitoring that station along with our contractor. And that was essential to decommission the remainder of the site. They have since demolished the remainder of the wastewater treatment plant. They've replaced some curbing out at Stony Brook Boulevard. I believe it was last Friday, and are hoping to repave the driveway this week, temperature dependent. So there's still some fencing and landscaping to install, and the official startup is being coordinated with our office and our contractor, hopefully within the next couple of weeks in that regard. So we're pretty close to closing that contract out as well. That concludes the report on the sewer project update. Does the authority have any questions?
Dave, a couple of questions. So we've got 25 connected at 103 under application for a total of 128. How does that reflect the total potential clients that we have in Echo Valley?
Total Echo Valley is about 136, I believe. So it's pretty close. I know there was a couple of folks that requested deferment, so there may be a little bit of a gap in that number. And there were a couple of folks that were greater than 150 feet off the road. So they've requested exemption from the requirement to tie in. So there's a little bit of a gap in that the overall number there. But for the most part, I believe we've received the majority of, and if they didn't make the application, they paid the tapping fee. Most of the folks that haven't been able to get an application in, I've encouraged them to work with a contractor, get the payments in, make the application, and then whenever the contractor can get around to it, we can deal with that. The important thing is to make their application to move forward with the application process, and the overwhelming majority of the folks have done that. It's been surprising.
So that looks like about 94% success rate.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Better than we
yes.
anticipated, I guess.
There's a couple of other areas like along Goshen Road, the Springhouse community. We're probably anywhere from 40 to 60% up there. And some of those folks, more of those folks are desiring to either defer or are seeking an exemption from the requirement to connect. So, but for the most part, folks have been responsive and have paid their tapping fees and gotten the process underway.
Okay. On Trump Creek, have JOAO and Bradley, when they're ready, get the porta potty out of there.
That is not JOAO's porta potty. So we found out through me visiting the pump station. I called the number on the porta potty and found out that it was requested and leased by Mid-Atlantic Mechanical. So that's correct. I guess they decided to take it upon themselves to put a porta potty in the public right of way because they are doing a bunch of lateral installs up in the Echo Valley community. So
Steve?
I worked with Suzanne Valanin at the township to find out whose it was. And that was another complaint that the adjacent homeowner had. I found out that it was Mid-Atlantic's. I sent an email to them immediately requesting them to remove the portable toilet from the cul-de-sac immediately.
Still there.
Yeah.
We'll start taking action from a township perspective.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not an authority issue now. So they did it on their own. So that's a township issue. Okay.
I explained to him that it was done without permission of the authority or the township, and it needs to be removed immediately. So when I did talk to McGovern, is who they rented from, Steve, the gentleman at McGovern said that if you need them to remove it, to just call them back. So if Mid-Atlantic
just send me the number and I'll have it.
Okay. If they're not responsive, we can have them remove it.
Yep.
Also, Dave, a quick question. So we run a temporary electric line from Westchester Pike to Old Masters Pump Station, and we fire up. Can we operate the pump and start collecting waste from Florida Park on a temporary basis with that line?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And we're ready to go then. Once we get that approval done, we could then fire up, we could start then allowing Florida Park and the office park to connect.
Correct. And actually, Joe, a portion of the office park, so that drains in two directions. One
Right,
portion
goes up and
directly
down.
to the
Yeah.
Camelot station. Correct.
Okay. Okay. All right. Just want to make sure so we can start, hopefully, if we can get that done in the next week or 2 weeks temporarily, we can then get our letters out to Florida Park and they start connecting as well.
That's the hope.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, Dave, keep going.
Okay, just a quick update on the Melmark School. They resubmitted for their pump station to address our comments. I did review the resubmission. Everything appears to be satisfactory. I have not issued an approval letter yet. I understand they owe some outstanding invoices and escrow. So I've been working with Rich Lafayette to get that taken care of. And I've also been in contact with Jim Calvarese at Melmark School, who's working on getting those funds released and paid so I can release that letter for them. Muirwood Hills dedication update. The developer has submitted some documentation from their survey stakeout of the community to demonstrate that the couple of dwellings that are to be on the either side of our proposed sanitary sewer easement was not encroaching into the easement. So, however, that doesn't ensure us that the builder physically built them where they were supposed to be. So I spoke with their legal counsel, informed him that they should have a surveyor go out, physically locate the dwellings, tie that to their easement drawing, and determine that those building corners would not be in the proposed easement. Once they do that, we should be in good shape to get that squared away, dedicated to the authority, and we can then tie in. It's a handful of residents up on Dogwood Lane and Dogwood Place through that line. So,
Okay.
Earls Lake Dam Breach, the break strength results for the concrete pour came back, and the 7-day strength tests all met what the 28-day requirement was. So they're satisfactory for the concrete strength for their pour to protect our pipe. They've backfilled the pipe. They have their riprap installed, and the riprap is basically the stream lining. And they have demobilized their crew from that location. There's one issue I understand that came up last week with regard to access to the meter pit that RHM, when they come in to read Newtown Authority's meters, they previously had a little plank across the stream there. So the contractor's working on addressing their access issues to that meter pit. SR3 maintenance, the Summit Avenue flow analysis. We received the flow data for October 2020. I pulled in the rainfall data and looked at the flow along that stretch of pipe. If you recall, there was concern with a stream through the property at 314 Summit Avenue encroaching into our sanitary sewer pipe and causing a health and safety issue. The authority decided to implement some flow meters in several of the manholes out there, and analyzing the manholes or the flow data for that first month, it does appear there is a correlation between significant rainfall events and increased flow in the system. I do want to look at the next couple of months of data to better correlate how that happens. I do know we had some rather significant rainfall in the month of November as well. I should be getting that data any day, and we'll be able to present that to the authority at the next meeting. That concludes the engineer's report this evening.
Any questions of the engineer? My only comment, Dave, is on that situation at 314. If in fact your numbers look high, let's get a plan together of how we're going to address it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Operations managers report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We have one issue that I want to bring to your attention. We believe that at 320 Camelot, or not, Arthur Court, a situation happened where the water meter malfunctioned, and Aqua has since gone back and reduced the reading from whatever it was down to a normal reading based on the average, because they believe that the water meter itself malfunctioned. Based on that, unless the authority has some other direction, because Aqua has submitted a new number to us, we will be redoing the person's bill. I don't believe they've actually made the payment yet, but we would redo the person's bill to correlate with the amount that Aqua used.
Sounds good to me.
Steve, is this supposed to be higher or lower?
It's much lower. The meter reading.
It's never higher.
No, it's never higher.
Yeah.
People don't go and report things when it's, oh, my meeting's really low, meter reading's really low. But no, it's a situation where they said the meter totally malfunctioned and Aqua believes it malfunctioned. Was a bad meter on their part. As I understand it, Rich is online, but I believe they replaced the meter or at least made a change to it.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the scoop. And as long as everybody's okay with that, we'll just go ahead and take care of it. But I wanted to let you know, since it's a change in what we had originally done.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
No, the only other thing that I have is already on the agenda.
Okay. New business, 14.1, consider approving Pico natural gas service extension for the emergency generator at the new Camelot land pump station. I make a motion that we approve the expenditure of $4,943.33 to extend. Is that what that is, Dave?
That's correct.
Okay. That we approve the amount of $4,943.33 to extend the gas line for our emergency generator at that location. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Joe, could I just make a contingent upon my review? I got it this afternoon.
Sure.
I
Okay.
started looking at it and I got sidetracked.
Okay. Contingent upon council's review and approval.
Can
Do I have a second on the amended? Do I have a
I'll
second?
second it to get to my question.
Thank you. Now questions. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah. And just how is that fee generated? I mean, what's the basis for the amount?
So
I mean, I understand the work, but how was it put out to bid? How did that get generated?
So Pico, my understanding is they do bid these things. They don't always tell you exactly who their subcontractors are, but there is a description in the agreement package that says basically, here's a net total cost for the consumer of what it's going to cost to extend their facilities to service, your property or your facility. So they look at what the total cost of construction is, what they estimate your gas usage is going to be, take the difference in those two, and that's what they charge you for the infrastructure extension.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Okay, 14.2, this is to approve the waiver of conflict letter relating to the staff working with the Board of Supervisors and the Sewer Authority simultaneously. We were presented with a letter prior to the last meeting. I've had council take a look at the letter. And Mike, do you want to chime in here?
Yeah, as I recall, it's an acknowledgement that there is the potential for conflicts and confidential information to arise where both the manager, not just the manager, but all staff at the township building that are working with the authority. There's the potential that could arise, and anticipating that it could, this is an acknowledgement that we recognize that it can arise, and we're agreeing to waive it. Now, I spoke to Joe Catania as the township solicitor earlier today about it. And because it was it doesn't identify the natures of the conflicts or what the conflicts might be or could be. And it's understandable they may not all be anticipated until if and when they occur. So he and I agreed, and I presented him new language that waiver was agreeable so long as the nature of any conflict or confidential information relating to the authority is immediately disclosed to the authority. And he reviewed that language and was agreeable to recommend it to the supervisors. So that would be the one revision to what was originally circulated to us all before our last meeting.
I'm going to ask a stupid question, Mike, but
Sure.
are they signing a similar waiver?
My understanding is, and Steve might be able to speak to this, that they brought it up, that waiver without my revisions at the last supervisors meeting and signed off on it. So Joe's going to have to take it back to be reviewed again, to
be reviewed again.
reviewed and approved again for that additional half sentence.
They reviewed it contingent on your approval. And yes, both sides are signing off.
Okay.
And I would state this, that I have looked at this further and have talked further. Obviously, if we get into a situation where this board gives me an instruction that's in direct conflict with what the Board of Supervisors is giving me, I would, or any other staff member would have to step down from our role in serving the municipal authority.
And this would make it, even though it may be self-evident, as Steve sort of describes, but if it's not, then somebody will let us know. Either way, whether it's us to the supervisors or the supervisors in township to us.
So at this point, do we agree subject to, or do we get a revised document and circulate that?
My suggestion would be, since we only meet monthly, to agree subject to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead. Well, we approve the waiver of conflict letter as amended by our council to be submitted to the Board of Supervisors. I'm going to paraphrase by saying that language essentially provides that if there is a conflict, the one side must notify the other side of the conflict, whatever that conflict may be. Do I have a second? Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay. Now, questions or comments? Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, I would rephrase that a little bit as a potential
Okay.
conflict, not as an actual conflict. And because we would need to know about it before it actually turns into a conflict is the way I would.
I originally had that in there, Tom.
Yep.
And I went back and forth about it because I think in the context in which we're in, it's almost hard to know until you're there, but maybe
Okay.
not. But maybe not. It can't hurt. It can't hurt.
So we could say a potential conflict.
But is that the language in there? Sorry, Joe, for overstep. Is that the
No, no.
language that Joe Catania is now taking back, or
I think that language, yeah, I think you'd want to put in reasonably understood to be a potential conflict, because sometimes you don't know it till after the fact.
Yeah.
But so I can't say that I talked to Joe and he was agreeable. I can say when Joe and I were talking about this issue, it was all very cordial, and there was no pushback to anything either way. So if you feel more comfortable, because Tom, I'm sure you've been involved in these things at different levels, I'd be happy to include that language. As I say, it did occur to me, and
Yeah.
I kind of went back and forth on it.
Tom, your call.
Can I ask a question as well?
Yeah,
Well,
As you're-
let Tom finish and then go ahead. Tom, you're.
Okay.
No, I would prefer that potential language be in there so that we
Okay,
are alerted as soon as they think something could be a problem.
okay. Okay, Maria, go ahead.
Okay,
Just so
are
it's
we,
clear, it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, my question is, are we talking about a conflict of interest as defined under the Pennsylvania Ethics Act? Or just a conflict in general?
I think it's a conflict under common law. I mean,
Okay.
that's how it'd be interpreted.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, so we have a motion on the floor with an amendment to the language that says potential conflict. Are there any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, Mike, would you just redraft that document, incorporate that language and get it over to Joe?
Yeah, but I'll shoot it to Tom first.
Yep, okay,
Uh,
thank you.
Yep.
Okay. The last part of new business is 14.3. Consider approving the proposed 2021 approving the budget for 2021. I think at this time, it would make the most sense to circulate the budget so the members of the board can see it. And then we can vote on approving it at the next meeting. So whoever has the budget, would you please circulate it to the entire board so that we can review it and then we can approve it at the next meeting? Does that make sense?
I believe it was in your packet.
Okay, I did not say it, but that's,
Okay.
It was. It was the
okay,
last. page.
my fault that I didn't say it, but it is 78 pages long. I may have missed it in that packet. But let's take a look at it and we can discuss it at the next meeting, whether it's the interim meeting or the January reorg meeting. We can adopt it then.
So if I could take a moment, and I've not been a part of it, but I know several of the other members of the board, and Rich, I assume is still on. I see his screen down there. I would make note that I believe that both of these budgets are being presented with a zero increase.
Right.
And so just so everybody kind of knows what they're looking at. So you have both the SR2 and the SR3. Total revenues in the SR2 are $1,853,254 with expenses of $1,813,558. On the other side, the SR3 is at $4,854,088 or $54,088, and the expenses are $4,648,934. I will make mention. I also serve on the CDCA board. Their number is not yet finalized and they're waiting. I think Delcor has come back finally and given a specific number. That number may go down, the gap may go down some, but the 200,000 would still cover that gap if it does go down. So I'm not saying you don't wait till your next meeting. I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of what's going on with the budget.
And can I say, so the budget document we're talking about is that one last page, page 81 of our packet?
Yes. Yeah, the SR2 rate is $8.70. The SR3 rate is $11.32, the same as it was last year, this year. Exact same rates next year. Our HM came down, CDCA was assumed the same, and other fees went up, but it came out to the same amounts.
Okay. Well, I suggest everybody take a look at it in detail and then we can talk about it the next meeting and approve it accordingly.
Does everybody have the debt service information for the bond? So when they look at it, they can see how that factors in.
I'll ask Rich if he's comfortable with that the debt service information is included in the budget.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Rich. Go ahead.
Yes, I am confident. Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but the 2021 debt service payment is still being paid out of the capitalized interest fund.
That's
So our debt service payments would actually start coming out of the SR3 fund in 2022.
right, Rich. Thank you.
But between me and Dave, we can circulate that information to the board if they would like.
Sure can.
Okay. Any other new business? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Could I interrupt?
Sure.
My understanding is that this may be the last meeting for one of the members who served us for 6 years. And since it's been probably the busiest 6 years and with the biggest, certainly capital improvement project, this, not only this authority, but I think this township has ever experienced, and he's ridden through it. I just want to acknowledge Tom Smith's service to the board and to the community, and thank him for it.
I
Yeah, I
second
was going to
that.
mention
Tom.
that, guys. Yeah,
Thank you,
Joe.
Tom.
Yeah.
Amen.
There you go.
It's been fun.
I appreciate that. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your wisdom and guidance. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been enjoyable, guys. Really great project, and you, for those who've served longer than I mean, you guys have lived through a much longer process, and you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you, Tom.
God bless, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks
Thank you,
all.
Tom.
All right, a motion to
Can I
adjourn.
motion to adjourn then?
Go
Motion
ahead.
to adjourn.
No, I second the motion.
Last official act.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
See ya.
Have a good holiday, everybody. Take
You
good
too.
care.
Too. Yep. Stay
Thank you,
safe.
you too.